It's time for the MCTS experience with Mr. Orfe and Mr. Nash. Discover your passion and unlock your future.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Another great episode of the MCTS experience. With me, as always, is the legendary David Nash. Hello, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Glad to have you back.
I'm pumped. We're coming on hard and fast, heading towards the end of the year.
Yes, it's coming quicker than we think.
Like Mr. Orfe, like I always say, you blink, it's the Christmas holiday season, you blink, it's spring break, and you blink, and it's over.
You bet.
Especially when these kids love what they do. They love what they do here at MCTS.
They do, although they love a nice Christmas break as
they
much
do.
as anybody.
It's a win.
They're
It's a win.
bouncing
It's a
off
hit.
the walls. They're
Very,
ready to go.
Very exciting.
A couple quick announcements before we get underway. The Student Council will be attending the New Jersey Association of Student Councils Winter Convention on January 9th.
And that happens to fall right in the middle of another exciting component coming in January, which is our Skills USA local competitions. So anybody who's ever been to the school, attending the school, knows that Skills USA is basically our student organization, our fraternal organization internally for the career and technical component. And students get to compete in their area of study with local outside judges coming in to assess their ability, performing tasks that are career specific, or maybe even doing an interview, some soft skills. I've seen a lot of instructors weave that into these contests. So you got the hard skill, the soft skill, and then out of that local competition generates our state legion, our army of state contest participants that will occur in mid-April. So that's going to be happening the second week in January. And anybody who's interested in being a judge, coming to see it, by all means, give me a call here at the school. We'll reach out to Mr. Producer Nick, and he'll make it happen.
So these are like the local competitions that from there we decide who goes on to states, and then we've sent a few kids to national the last couple of years.
I mean,
right?
It's the beautiful part about when you come to MCTS and you get passionate about your career area, you get to compete against other guys and girls that are just as passionate as you, and from that, the cream rises to the top, as they say. And that student goes to states, and then if you win states out of the 21 counties, every county sends a student, whether it be HVAC, accounting, public speaking, culinary arts. There's 114 contests.
Oh, my God.
We obviously don't compete in 114 areas, although we would if we could.
Yeah.
But the reality is, students have won and go to nationals. We've had national podiums, and we've had national winners before. Incredible.
Phenomenal. I love it. Next announcement, the New Jersey HOSA State Officer candidacy is ramping up with the first round of testing for candidates at Middlesex County Vocational Technical on January 4th. Our school, I'm proud to announce, has 4 candidates, and we got our fingers crossed for them that they get.
They're strong. We were in the interviews, right?
Yes,
Mr. Orfe?
we helped select those kids.
We helped screen the candidates.
I'm pretty confident about our chances of getting invited back for February. It's a good crop of kids.
It's neat, and then working off that. There's going to be academy assessment testing at the end of January when aspiring HSA and STEM students will sit and take a placement test in math, language arts, as well as participate in project team learning activity, which is really fun. Yeah. I've seen that. I've heard about it. It's amazing. And they get to connect with future classmates for guys and girls that are going to be coming here in the 1920 school year.
That's awesome. So, yeah, that's for 8th graders, guys. So if you're in 8th grade and you haven't gotten an email or a phone call or a letter in the mail inviting you to those assessments, it's the end of January. Get in touch with me if you have not been invited. If you have applied for one of those 2 programs, the STEM Academy or the HSA Academy, get in touch with me, MORFE at mcts.edu, if you haven't heard from us yet. Okay? And last but not least...
This is big. Big drum roll.
Big video, school-wide video.
Incredible.
We have students from Assunpink, from the HSA, and from some of the shops up there, HVAC, and all over SIPEC. We shot a video that's going to be up on the internet. Mind-blowing. Friday morning it goes live. So by the time you're hearing this, go to our website and watch this video and share it and like it and blow it up. Share it with friends. Any aspect of social media.
We're hitting up producer Nick. He's not mic'd right now. It's on all of our social media.
Instagram,
Twitter,
Facebook,
everything.
And on our website, of course, too. So
Look, he's nodding. Look at him. He's nodding. He's all excited. He's very proud of this. This is his baby. Well, obviously, we've had a creative consultant come in, an incredible group of people.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about the video is the students loved doing this.
Mr. Nash, that's exactly it. Nick just took the words right out of my mouth. Every student bought in. They were participating. They were dancing. They were doing stuff. Jody's enthusiasm for his choreography is totally infectious. He choreographed this whole thing. The whole school is involved in this thing. Teachers are dancing.
Administration. Our support staff, maintenance crew, which are awesome guys and girls who we couldn't do anything without all of us collaborating together. It's amazing.
Everyone's in, and it's really, really fun. We had a great time making it. All right, that's it for upcoming announcements. Please stay with us because we've got our Student of the Week coming up next. And now it's time for Student of the Week.
All right, everybody. It's time for Student of the Week, as you know. And this week we have a really amazing student who fits a dynamic of who we are as a CTE school, right, Producer Nick?
Correct.
So who we have is Megan Lako. Megan is a senior last year who graduated, and she's going to get into all this and unpack all this. But Megan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me be here.
No, this is awesome. So as I was kind of leading into and talking about, you were a senior last year at Hopewell Valley High School?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and then you graduated last year, obviously, not from this campus and this school, but you graduated from Hopewell Conventional High School?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and now, so you're still finishing up a year here. So this happens quite a bit for listeners at home, and I'm just bringing everybody up to speed because, Megan, you know this is your life. You're like, yeah, Nash, I got this. So what happens is sometimes students don't discover us or have an awakening until they're halfway through their junior year or even in the beginning of their senior year. And sometimes guys and girls felt that they can't come here if they're a senior in high school. And that's not really a truth as you experienced.
Well, honestly, I wanted to try to get in my sophomore year. And I found out, like you said, when it was close to time for my junior year and I'd applied and didn't get in my sophomore year because my program was too full. So so I came in my senior year.
Okay, so you came in, so you learned all the base functions, and you graduated. And actually, last year, you worked in the district last year in the print shop with Producer Nick. Producer Nick, for everybody listening,
yes.
you run the print shop in the summer?
I do. We hire 2 students of the graphic arts program to help me print for the district.
How cool is that? So we're self-sustaining internally.
They get paid.
And Megan, you applied for the position, you interviewed, you obtained the position.
Yep.
And that kind of awakened even further your love for the graphic industry and
Yeah, I did. And at my home school, actually, I always have loved art since I was a kid, but I didn't really ever know what graphic design was. I knew I wanted to do it. And I had taken a Photoshop class at my high school, but it wasn't really in depth. It was a program they had just started. And then someone in my English class actually told me she was going here. And I was like, oh, wow, I've never heard about that program. And I was so interested in it and looked it up and then really wanted to come here.
Did you do the visit?
Yes, I did do the visit.
And then once you came here, you're like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So is it like, again, you've experienced this and lived through it. I've worked here for 20 years. It's like art class for 3 hours a day, but it's just not art. It's Photoshop and photography and film editing, and it's all these different.
Yeah, it's everything, and I love it because you can actually see, unlike at like your normal school where they might not have the supplies and the funding for the things you really want to do. Here they do, where you can like physically look at what you've done and really learn hands-on. It's not only on the computer, you're really hands-on.
So the printing devices, Nick, you know this as an expert, as a person who's graduated college, and you now, Megan, are immersed in a graphics program at Mercer County Community College. The equipment that we have here is, and I don't know, I mean, I taught auto shop and I was a professional mechanic. What you have out here, and I'm asking both of you, is head and shoulders above a conventional high school art program.
Oh, yeah.
Way
above, way above.
And it's only getting better.
Yeah, so with Miss Perlman coming on board, Mr. Eggins retired last year, Miss Perlman came on board, and she's bringing a level of professionalism. She's fresh from the industry. It's like we captured a cheetah from the industry in terms of...
She's taught me a lot so far,
So it's awesome. So it's good. And so, all right, so Megan, you came back this year, you worked in the summer for the district and in physically for us helping produce. and that landed you on your current position. So share everybody where you work currently and how it applies to your program here.
I work at Speed Pro Imaging, and I'm there 4 days a week, and then I come here 1 day a week on Fridays usually. So it's a CIE program, so it's like work study program, and I'm learning a lot actually because it's nice because most people after college wait to get an internship, but I'm getting one younger.
No, that's good. So you're still coming back here building your portfolio on Fridays, which you'll be able to showcase after school, and you can continue the position at Speed Pro. We've had numerous students over the years. Actually, producer Nick, some of the kids graduated from your class, and
still works in a print shop to this day.
So yeah, absolutely. And he was
my manager at some point when I graduated college. I went back and worked in a print shop, and he was my manager, and we were best friends from.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah,
it's the gift that keeps on giving. So, Megan, when you first started this actual position for Speed Pro Imaging, and that's right over on Ree Road near Denau Road off of Route 31, and Mr. Hewell, your supervisor, he brought you in, showed you the operation. How much have you learned, if you had to weigh this or put it into words, from you've been there since early October?
Yeah, early October I've been there. Honestly, probably out of a 10, I've learned like an 8,
wow.
If that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah.
I've really learned a lot about the industry, and then like talking with clients. I've seen all kinds of different parts. Like I've seen production, I've seen design, I've seen sales. I've really been immersed in all of it.
Yeah,
well, it's a smaller shop too, so it's a beautiful way to really learn pretty much every aspect of it.
And it's kind of neat because, again, you found out about us sophomore year, tried to get in junior year, the class filled up, the opportunity to attend was senior year, and you took that shot. So any parent or student or a person that's listening, like, wow, my brother or my nephew or a friend of the family or whatever, just because a person's going through their junior year doesn't negate coming to MCTS.
No, it doesn't. And honestly, I faulted and I should have contacted. There's a lot of people that would have helped me get in, like Lance Simic, who's the counselor here. He's really helpful, and everyone here is really helpful.
So your preconceived notion of what you thought it was be, a lot of times students describe it as like a veil, and then when they come here after probably about 3 weeks to a month, the veil's lifted back. Is that how it felt for you, or put it in your words when you started attending here and what you experienced?
It felt like for the first time I really got to do what I wanted to do instead of high school, like where I'm just sitting there. I hated it. I didn't really like the art classes particularly.
Yeah.
I was taking in high school because it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Like, I always liked drawing, but I didn't like how it was in high school.
So like the perspectives, and here draw the flower pot and put the shading in and all that.
Yeah.
Here it's
more creative based and more hands-on. Like I was saying before, you really get to see like what you do, and you really get to learn everything on the way.
So part of the projects that I've seen just walking in, and again, as you guys know, I'm the OSHA instructor, I'm the career counselor, I'm the CIE, which is just a fancy word for co-op. I'm in and out of a lot of shops. And in fact, when we leave here today, I'm going over to the building shop to connect with a student about a contracting position. So as I walk through, I see you designing like real live production stuff, meaning they just did a gift bag for Christmas, Hanukkah, holiday season. Every kid was designing something. You did that for your mom. Explain to everybody who's listening what you did.
I did from the movie A Year Without a Santa Claus, just something I like to be creative. A heat miser and snow miser bag to put my mom's Christmas gift in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's things like that are really great because you do practical things, like you do logos and branding and things like that for companies you can do here. But then you also really get that creative side where you've never done these things before, making cereal boxes, gift bags, a Monopoly board. Yeah, a Monopoly board. It really is cool because it's things like you always wanted to do but never knew how, and you're really learning them here.
And it's professional grade stuff, too. It's right out of the programs that they use in the real world.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Megan, I can't thank you enough for coming in. You know, Student of the Week, you're a person that represents a solid portion of our population, and it's I'm positive the people listening to this or anybody that has a son or a daughter or a friend that can resonate with what you shared with us. Hey, just because you missed the boat, per se, junior year, doesn't mean it's over.
It's not. And a lot of people have that preconceived notion, and it's definitely not true. And I completely would recommend this program even if you like school, you don't have to be the kid who hates high school to like come here. Yeah. It's both, honestly, and it's really great to find your passion here and get to do it early on.
Some would think that
it's half our tagline.
I know, and the best part was unsolicited. So, Megan, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing us. Thanks for all your success and applying your gifts and your abilities to not only help yourself, but also make us the school who we are. So, hey, it's great having you. And
thank you.
Thank
you so much for having me.
Knowledge is power. It's time for Ask MCTS.
So, Mr. Nash, the Ask MCTS question this time around comes from.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
It's from
Fire.
Me, actually. There's no.
Boy.
There's no mail thing. I have a 15-year-old at home. Mm-hmm. I bumped into a kid who got a job because you encouraged him to just last night at a grocery store. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what age can people start working? Can kids start working?
Well, it's an awesome question, and I talk with a lot of parents and a lot of students that are the puddle is muddied. The water is muddied on this subject, and it's very clear.
But you're the authority. You're our working paper guy.
I am. I'm the issuing officer of working papers. Every school district has an issuing officer, which means I have very specialized training from Department of Labor in regards to the child labor laws of when people can work. And I preview all the working papers for the district.
Teach me.
So here's the deal. People can work general, retail, and any job at age 14. Age 14 is how old you can obtain working papers and work.
Oh, see, no one knows that.
During the school year, you're limited to 3 hours a day. So it's 3 hours a day during a Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day on the weekend, and you cannot work more than 6 consecutive days.
Okay.
So, in other words, if I had a 14 or a 15-year-old child, I have a 12-year-old, and when she turns 14 or 15, she can go work at McCaffrey's supermarket near our house. Mm-hmm. And I've already talked to the staff at McCaffrey's because there's a phenomenon going on in our culture. If you were to ask a 16, 17, and 18-year-old, where do you work? A lot of times, a much higher percentage of people think, they go, I don't work, I can't work, or and if you go back in time, post-World War II, every generation, 1950, 60, 70, et cetera, people started working between 12 and 14, and they received their first menial job, and then they progressed through that. They became a leader. A person has more responsibility by the time they're 17, 18. So by the time they graduate and start going to post-secondary education, they have a clear understanding of what's required at work. Time management, decision-making. What does a boss or the customer or a client expect from you? And that's something that's being lost in society because everybody thinks their kid can't work till they're 17, 18, 19, which is it's an untruth. So the answer is the more corporate an environment, it's up to the employer to answer the question. You can receive working papers and work at a place at 14. There are employers like ShopRite that doesn't hire till 16. So a lot of times what happens is your son or daughter will become fascinated with working at Five Below or the ice cream parlor near your house, and they'll knock on the door and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, son, we can't hire you. Well, that instantly kid goes, I can't work. Or the parent hears of an employer like Target that says, we only hire 16 and older. Well, did you try McDonald's?
Right. That's just them.
That's just them. That doesn't mean that. Yeah, exactly correct. So,
okay. This is great.
And the other thing, too, is apply online. And this is the other thing we tell every student that comes here to MCTS. Apply online. Of course, apply online. Wawa, Quick Check. These are all I'm just naming places. There's no hard and fast. A hardware store. Answering a phone at a hair salon.
The local restaurant.
A busboy and busgirl, 14 years old.
Okay.
14 years old. The number one thing I tell to people is apply online and then have your son or daughter dress up in business casual, walk in with a very simple resume. If you click on Google, basic resume, it'll have your name, address, what your schools you go to, what sports you play, what activities you volunteered for. Walk up to the customer thing and say, hi, sorry to bother you. My name is, I attend school at, Hopewell Valley, West Windsor, whatever, Mercer County Technical Schools. It doesn't matter. And then just say, I applied online, and I just wanted to make sure that you got my resume. If you do that, do you know how many people don't do that?
You're already ahead of most adults walking in for a job.
So, listen, we always say this in our OSHA training. Where do you learn how to work? And most kids say school. And I say, you learn theory at school. But let's face it, you learn how to work at work. The sooner you start to learn how to work, the sooner you can get that adult life, that adult freedom, that adult money, that adult concept that is very scary, but yet very rewarding. And that's really what it's all about. Think back to anybody that you know. If you're listening to this and you're an established adult, when did you start working? You start working between 12 and 14. Yeah. And then you figured out like, oh boy, this job stinks. I got to get another job, or I want to do this different, or I really like this aspect, but I don't like that aspect. So then correlate that to a young guy or girl now who's 15, 16, 17, 18 that has never worked. They're at a massive disadvantage once they enter the job market. And these are the war stories, not only that MCTS hears, but every parent that I bumped into is like, oh my gosh, you can't believe it. And I said, well, time out. It's not the kid's fault. It's us providing opportunity, and that's what we do here at MCTS.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that answer. I think next I'd like to have a teacher tip. We don't stop learning after the bell rings. Guess what? It's time for teacher tips. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our teacher tip of the week comes to us from Mrs. Perlman, who is our graphic arts teacher, and she was a real graphic artist, a professional in the field. Worked for, where'd you work, Ms. Perlman?
S. Walter Packaging.
S. Walter Packaging. She had a beautiful career with them, and now she's here teaching our students. Take it away, Ms. Perlman. Tip of the week.
Let's say you need a quick thank you note that you can print on your own desktop printer. Let's take an 8.5 by 11 document. In the right-hand corner, just 4.25 inches in size, no bigger than that. You want to go in the right corner. You can orientate it portrait, or you can rotate it minus 90 degrees. I know that may be a challenge, so you may want to just keep it portrait. So then all you have to do is put an image there. You could just write the words thank you, and then all you have to do, you take it out of your printer, you fold it in half, and then you fold it in half again, and you have a quick thank you note.
A perfect holiday tip from our graphic arts instructor. Write those thank you notes, kids, and happy holidays.
Hi, this is Tristan Leonard from the graphic arts class, and you're listening to the MCTS Experience.
Hey, you, come here. Check it out. They're in our school. They're in our community. They're around the corner. Welcome, our featured guest.
Welcome back, everybody. We're very excited. Our featured guest this time is John Henry of New Jersey School Boards. A couple of nice, exciting announcements. New Jersey School Boards was just named Mercer County Technical Schools Business Partner of the Year. We have a lot of great things to talk about with John. Welcome.
Thank you. I am honored to be here.
We're very honored to have you. So just for those of our listening audience that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about New Jersey School Boards and what they do?
So New Jersey School Boards Association is the association that all local school boards by state mandate have to be a member of. And in turn, we provide training for them in a variety of areas. And my area specifically is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, STEAM, and sustainable schools.
Okay. And do you have a lot of schools under your umbrella? Are we your lone
581 districts, yes.
So that's quite a lot.
And I believe 84 of the 89 charter schools are what's called associate members of our association. And so we provide assistance to them as well in, again, a variety of areas.
Okay. Mr. Nash, I know you have a few favorite things that John Henry brought to the table. Why don't you
John Henry and I jumped out of a plane together.
13,500 feet.
It was incredible.
What?
Insane.
It was we were on a national educators tour of Fort Hood in Texas, and it was amazing. It totally broadened our understanding of what the United States military, particularly the Army, could provide in terms of career opportunity. And it lifted the veil off of, I'm sure, both of our eyes about it's not this one-dimensional, like, I'm not going to send my kid to the military because that's bad. First of all, the military is a tremendous opportunity, and the public really should investigate it if your son or daughter is inclined to go down that realm, and we'd be happy to talk with anybody about that, of course. But part of the experience was we jumped out of a plane with the Golden Knights.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
We did not see that coming, and I was a little nervous. A lot nervous to do that.
It was powerful.
But we did it.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Gosh, you guys are so brave. I don't know that
Listen, when they tell you, well, first of all, I didn't know anything about the Golden Knights like John didn't.
Nothing.
It's an elite program offered by the Army, and they've jumped from anybody who's on an educator tour, former presidents, George W. 41, George Bush 41 jumped with them. So when you jump with them, there's 3 people near you at all times.
Okay.
So my wife and I talked about it. I just said, listen, I was never a person that was like, oh my God, I got to skydive. But I was like, I'd be a fool to pass this up.
Yeah.
Same here. That's exactly how I thought about it.
Yeah, we're logical.
We're logical to pass it up.
Yeah, and it was great. Chip and Joanne Gaines were there the same day.
Are you kidding?
They didn't jump with us.
They jumped. They jumped right before my jump, and then you were right after me.
Yep, exactly.
They came down with General Snow.
Yeah, the 2-star general.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. The whole experience. again, I can't say enough how great New Jersey School Boards Association is. On just a side note, that the opportunities that the U.S. Army can provide guys and girls that want to see the world and receive very specific career training, it's incredible.
I mean, I can piggyback off of how the relationship started with the U.S. Army, and that
go
was
ahead.
what led us to MCTS.
Go.
It was about, I think now it's about 4 years ago, our current president at the time, I think it was John Bellina, and he had been on one of the local ed tours at Picatinny Arsenal, and he came back and he said to me, and he said to our executive director at the time, there's something here with the U.S. Army, and I need you to, kind of pursue this. So I reached out to their ed specialist, and we're like, okay, we need to learn about them as much as they needed to learn about how they can actually help schools. And so we developed a relationship, and then we were going to do what we were going to call it the Emergency Management Design Challenge. And we wanted like CTE schools to get involved in that, because then we were going to, and really the challenge was what do you do if you don't have power or anything else for 3 months?
Love it.
Right. And it was a little bit ambitious for us to do that, and we didn't have any takers at the time. So then in between that, we pitched the idea of actually having an Army sergeant be placed as a STEAM fellow at New Jersey School Boards. Now, this is way out of the box stuff for School Boards Association and also for the U.S. Army. And so we had the commander at the time get together with our executive director. They had conversations, and we said yes. They placed Sergeant George Johnson at the time.
Yes.
As the first fellow.
Yes.
And then fast forward, that relationship was made. But then I introduced George to MCTS. And then that started to take off, and then the MRE challenge and all those things started to kick in. But
go ahead.
So no, the second you said that, so anybody who's listening to this podcast, that Mr. Johnson or Sergeant Johnston got coupled with yourself and the School Board Association and Chef Engel. And Chef Engel and Sergeant Johnston were the ones that pioneered the concept of the MRE challenge. And MRE, if you're listening to this and you don't know what that means, meals ready to eat. So when combat soldiers and infantry's out in the field, they're eating high-calorie, really unique food, from chocolates to chiclets to beefaroni and barbecued shredded pork. I mean,
and they all come in these little boxes.
Yes.
Right?
little bags, actually.
Little bags.
And they have heat. They heat themselves. Like, you can live on MRE. You can buy MREs. Anybody listening to this can buy MREs at Harry's Army and Navy. And so you guys, Chef Engel being a culinary expert, and then Sergeant Johnston being in the field, guys in the field, they trade, they barter, they combine different ingredients, and there's this whole folklore and understanding of how to make things really delicious. There's things called Ranger's pudding. Do you remember? And they mix different items from the MREs in there, and it's when it's mealtime in the field, that's a source of communing and trading and laughing and team building that only can occur. So we brought that like a Food Network challenge here at the district, and that's how you guys unlocked it, correct?
Right. Well, that was one of the first bigger things. I've been here doing some project and problem-based learning training before that, but the meals ready to eat was a big one. That was a big one because it connected to the U.S. Army and like David, like you said, it was a way for the the soldiers in the field. That's how they exchange information and they socialize over these things. They exchange different things that are inside the MREs. Now, some of them are not that bad, okay, in terms of tasting. I would not live off of them. I'd probably have a heart attack in like 3 years. But I mean,
well, it's engineered.
But it's engineered to keep you alive for longer periods of time. And now the kids here and in other schools now through the MRE challenge, they have to make culinary delights out of it. So it's really an interesting challenge.
It's a state-level Skills USA contest that was birthed out of New Jersey School Boards Association, U.S. Army Sergeant Johnston, and, of course, our own Chef Engel. And it was just people saying, wow, we can do this. And really, that's who New Jersey School Boards Association is, to empower districts. The United States Army is right there. And MCTS, we're always on the forefront. We're just so thankful to have staff members that are like, yeah, we can do that. Like, I can't. I've worked here 20 years. I couldn't tell you how many times I heard somebody like, no, we can't do that. That doesn't happen here, and it's real and it's tangible.
And I want to piggyback on that. That is one of the reasons why I love working at this school. You guys are really innovative thinkers, and you are not afraid to say, yes, let's try this. Let's do something new, because that's what it takes to move, for school improvement to move forward. And now on school board side is having the staff and the executive director and their board really say, yeah, let's do these relationships with schools, and let's do something different so we can model best practices to board members. So what we do in this school and other schools, board members will hear about it through our communication system, our
your
school board
network and
notes, our
whatnot.
school leader, and through our networking and some of the programs or workshops that we do. And we feature that so we can train board members so they don't have to be just passive decision makers. They know what best practices are out in the school, and this happens to be one of them right here. Love working with the school.
That's excellent.
Wow.
And talk about a great example of project-based learning, problem-based learning. You take these things, these situations. What can we do to make it better? We're putting that into play just in our everyday lives as a school.
And when you talk to kids who come to us, and John, you're hands-on. It's not like you're in an ivory tower locked away and trying to, you're right here with us on campus. Guys and girls that come to this school, they thrive because every day they're learning theory, they're using their minds, and then they're connecting the hands and the reality. Kids want to learn, like, when am I going to use this in real life? I mean, if there's a mantra of a high school student,
you hear that all the time?
I hear it all the time. The kids are like, why am I going to learn this? Why am I going to use this in real life? And there's things that you have to learn that you don't know. But once somebody's a junior and senior in high school, a sophomore in high school, a freshman in high school, they want to start really peeling back the layers of the onion and going for it. And this style of learning definitely contributes to that.
I think it's the only way, but I mean, other schools are still traditionally, in that box, so to speak. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. And that's why you're doing what you're doing. Not only for your community, but you can be models because of what you're doing here. I think that's wonderful. And we could feature that at a state level. And we try to. And some of the other things that we do.
Speaking of practical and real life applications, very very briefly, I'd love for you to talk about the I Survived High School Challenge.
Oh, it's so cool.
That actually came out of a problem-based learning workshop that I did here, and all of the teachers who were in the workshop had to create something, and I think it was the second version of that course or that workshop that, I don't know, I guess it was Scott Engel and a few others actually came up with the idea to do this I Survived High School Challenge, which really put the students outdoors, looking for building shelter, cooking food, looking for water sources, and way, way different than you're going to see it in other school. Like, I don't think anybody's doing this. I haven't seen anything like this around. And it places the students. I'm a big believer in doing things non-traditional.
Absolutely.
Because if you have students who are challenged to learn the way that we're giving instruction, then you have to take them out of the classroom, put them out in the field, do something different to engage them. Because if you don't engage a student, they're never going to learn.
No, they don't
Not
retain.
the way that they don't retain it. They're not going to be interested, and you're going to lose them very soon.
Yeah.
Something like that, the I Survived High School Challenge, engages the student with something different. The MRE Challenge and some of the things that you do here in creativity are awesome because that engages the student to open their eyes.
That particular project too, it was such a great example of synergy, of cross-sectional, like students from different groups were working together in teams,
just like
team building.
It's just like work. How
just
often?
like work.
It's just like when you have different departments melting. Except, how often are we bound? And this is where you're going, Mick, and I'm with it. You're bound in school because it's school, because there's certain parameters you have to adhere to. But when you get to the workplace, no one hands you an employee handbook that's like, okay, here's every situation you're going to encounter here. I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
No, you got to face stuff as it comes to you.
It's real world problem solving.
It's awesome.
Biology, there's a biology component or a science component. There's a math component. They're all coming together. History, it's all in there in what those kids were working on. It's very cool.
And it's a team building.
Yes,
it's a collaboration.
Absolutely.
And what do employers' number one thing that they're saying to everybody
look at the
entering
soft skills? Yes, the
We need
soft skills, those communication skills, collaboration. How to present, how to speak. So, with the Army's connection, which I found and discovered working here, is what we did is we brought in, and you guys remember this, is we brought in the team building kits that the Army does.
Oh yeah,
Remember we did
that was awesome.
The Army does it best, right? They know how to teach leaders, teach them to be leaders, and actually, build capacity in terms of teams. Otherwise, people die. Let's face it.
Yeah.
So they have some great training programs. So what we did is we brought it here.
That was in the spring of last year or the year before. That was awesome. Awesome.
And some of the team building activities, one in particular I really liked, it was called a spider web. And it was probably a 10 foot by 12 foot just PVC frame with a bunch of bungee cords in irregular shapes. And the idea was to take like maybe 10, 12 kids, put them on one side and say, okay, you have to get everyone from this side through these irregular shapes without touching the ropes or the bungee cords, without touching them. And then otherwise they had to start over. And so these kids were engaged.
Yeah.
They did it. And then what we did is we threw a little kind of wrench in it, and we blindfolded them. On the so the last guy, they saved the biggest one for last, or the biggest shape.
Yes.
And then we said, wait a minute, time out. And we stepped in and we put the blindfold on the kid. And now the kids had to either focus even more
with the verbal
problem solving with them verbally. No,
Mm.
they had to talk the kid through it without touching. It was great. And the kids did it and they loved it. They were cheering afterwards. That's how you build capacity in the classroom. Is you don't teach content first. Someone, hey, we're going to do math today. No, you build team building and capacity, and then the kids know and trust each other in the classroom. So I think that's another thing that the Army actually has, and we brought here, and we've done it at other schools as well, for teachers as well.
I love it. Plus, one final thing, I just want to mention the green curriculum that you've brought to the table for us, the sustainability. All of this stuff is incorporated into what our students are learning day in and day out.
Right. We're looking to do through a grant and I guess some bond money perhaps. We're looking to do sustainable building practices or academies here. We're looking at green construction, energy, alternative energy.
Cutting
sources.
edge. It's coming. It's coming. It's already here.
It's here, but we're not emphasizing these enough. And so we're looking at things like just global sustainability, agricultural stuff, which can feed right into the culinary arts and healthy eating, healthy living. And I think that's going to, and since you're so open here, I think that's going to really play a big part. And so we're actually designing what that's going to look like now, but it's going to look like the kids are going to get an introduction to sustainability from a broader sense, right? Like, what is sustainability on a global basis? Why should we care? And then go into specific pathways. And so, say, first year, for example, might be exploration of green-collar careers, and then a design and architecture green, sustainable energy, sustainable building practices. And then you have it here, and now it's just a matter of transitioning through that lens of sustainability. Because you have the infrastructure here, it's just doing things a little bit differently.
So many of our courses lend themselves to these things. The horticulture turf management class, the architecture, engineering design, the carpentry, building maintenance trades,
HVAC. Look at
electrical, all of them.
Geothermal.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at how many houses are
solar, fuel cells.
It's insane.
Automotive, alternative transportation, hybrids, electric EVs, electric vehicles. So you could, if you want, I don't know how far you want to take this. It's not going to happen overnight. Because there is a cost to this, because when you're changing, you're going to need certain equipment. But if you have the mindset that you want to change and you want to move into these sustainable practices in maybe not all, but a lot of these areas, you could just do it over time. You could have like a 3 or a 5 year plan to implement this. But at first thing, I think we're looking at construction, which construction, of course, is the building, which the building has multiple systems. So it's a great place to start.
And thanks to that grant, thanks to that
the Bond Act,
the Bond Act that just passed, not grant, but the Bond Act.
Thank you. If you're listening and you voted yes, thank you, because
good job.
It's kind of a massive impact on who we are at MCTS in addition to throughout the state.
Yeah. I think you know what the answer is going to be because of all the open minds here at Mercer County Technical Schools. It's going to be yes. We're going to go deeper and further. That's a nice note to wrap things up on. John Henry, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my
New
pleasure.
Jersey School
Thank
Boards.
you.
We appreciate all you've done for us, and we look forward to working with you.
We're not done. We have a lot more work to do.
You bet. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well. That about wraps up this month's episode of the MCTS Experience. Mr. Nash, final thoughts.
I'll tell you, it's an exciting time to see this come alive and see these awesome people be a part of who we are as a family and just take us to the next level. John Henry's an incredible guy. Miss Perlman's a sharp cookie. And Megan, talk about an inspirational story about a girl that was kind of unsure of herself and unsure of her trajectory, and then she totally came alive and does what we do here. So.
Absolutely. So my thanks to Megan Lako and John Henry, of course, in New Jersey School Boards. Ms. Perlman for the teacher tip. Big thanks to Jody Gazenbeek-Person, who was our choreographer and orchestrated this entire thing with the video.
This video is awesome.
Keep your eyes peeled for that video, people, and share it and like it and do whatever else you can do with it. A big thanks to our board and Dr. Schneider and Ms. Heist-Pugh for the support and for doing what you guys do every day to keep this school going. My name is Mr. Orfe on behalf of myself and Mr. Nash and Nick MacGyver-Sikowski. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Please like this on Facebook and like our page on Instagram and Twitter. And go to our website. Get those applications in, people. Enrollment is up. We're rocking and rolling. You better get on the train if you want to be a part of this. And this is Mr. Orfe reminding you to discover your passion
and unlock your future.
And one last thing.
Happy holidays.